Oh, now what? Hey, thanks for dropping by. Can't Let Her Die DIY. Got a special treat for you today. Working on the MGB Roadster, Mark IV Roadster, 1977. Patrick, come say hello. It's an awesome vehicle. Jump! But there's a problem with it. Hey, settle down, settle down. It has a unique suspension system. Hey, yeah, this is a beauty car, really it is. It's exciting and fun to work on this. It's 1977, so there's no computers in this. It's old school, and it's interesting. It's cool. I like the 3 wipers. You know why there's 3 wipers on there? Morse Garage, who makes this, MG, stands for Morse Garage in Britain, and they wanted to sell these cars over in the United States, North America, and the big manufacturers in Detroit, Ford and Shed, they didn't want these cars coming over, so they put up, they said they were unsafe. One of the reasons, because the windshield wipers were too small, they didn't clear a high enough percentage of the windshield. So instead of reinventing their system, Morse Garage just put a 3rd wiper on the windshield. So that's only for North American vehicles. They didn't have to do it in Britain or anywhere else. So, you know, United States and Canada, so that's cool. I like that. A lot of people like the chrome bumpers. After a certain age, I think it's in the 70s, they switched to rubber bumpers. That was the other reason. They wanted to sell in North America, and the United States said it's failing their crash test. The bumpers had to be able to take an impact going 30 miles per hour, hit a 200-ton, like a brick wall at 30 miles per hour, and do no damage. That's what they said they had to do. I mean, today our vehicles are, we got plastic bumpers. You hit a bird, it cracks the bumper. And so anyway, that's why they had to drop the chrome bumper and put on the what they call, these are Sabrina bumpers, and that's a cool story. Sabrina is an actress that they had. Here's a Sabrina bumper. They're known as oversized for the car. And so they call them the Sabrina bumpers because apparently they have a blonde actress, model actress in the 50s named Sabrina, and she had oversized bumpers as well, I guess. Apparently that's how the story goes.
It's so beautiful, you and me.
So you hear that story, I kind of, hey, that's kind of cool. So anyway, the rubber bumpers are Sabrina bumpers. And there's an extra wiper there. Come on in, you want to see the inside? Give you a quick tour. It's got a pretty cool looking inside. I'll just get in here. Come on, Patrick. Anyway, the dash has the jet fighter cockpit design to it. It has toggle switches and instrument panel, so they wanted to simulate the jet fighter. It's got a few options. It's got a clock on it, and it's just cool, small and cool, and tons of leg room. That's the good thing about these MGBs. They look small from the outside, but the leg room goes right underneath the engine. So I'm 6'4", and I could stretch my legs totally out on this. And you can see all the room down in there, if you look down there. Lots of legroom, so it's really good for tall people. And just a fun car to drive. It's not going to win any races, but gee, you sure do feel like you're going fast, which is good. It's good for tickets, speeding tickets. The other day, I swear I was speeding. I looked down, I was doing 10 kilometers an hour below the speed limit. I was doing 70 and an 80. It just seems like I was doing 100. So it was just great. I just love that. Anyway, why are we here? We got a suspension issue. It's not a big problem, but I'll tell you what. I'll show you how you can diagnose it. It's pretty easy. They have a coil spring, and they have these dampeners. And the dampeners are supposed to so you don't get the rocking. It resists the when you hit potholes. It resists the bouncing around, that sort of thing. So they're filled with oil, and they do have a tendency to leak out through the seal there. And it's quite an interesting design. They're not like tube shocks that you're used to seeing. They wanted to reduce the center of gravity on these cars, so they wanted them to be as low as they could get them to the ground, so that they'd have a low center of gravity, which is really nice for cornering and all that stuff. So it's a different design shock that I'll show you once we get in there. But if you go to these, I have one that has leaked oil, has leaked out. So you can test it by doing this. You push down on here, and on this corner it should not bounce. It should just return to the original position. So if you do that, that one there is working properly. If you test this one, just take a look at this. See how we get 3 bounces? 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whereas this one, which is working good, no bounce. And that's that dampener. There's oil in the dampener, so it'll move back and forth, but any sudden movements, it restricts that sudden movement. It slows it down, so you're not bouncing all over the place. So right now I have one shock on the front that's working properly, one that's lacking some oil, and it's not dampening it enough. So what you get is a shimmy. You start to get a shimmy at around 60 miles an hour. So that's not good. So all we got to do is take off that shock and take off that dampener and fill it with fork oil, motorcycle fork oil. That's the best, and that's what I'm going to do. And but I do it a little differently than everyone else. Everyone else likes to take it right off, and there's no need. You can fill that dampener without removing it from the suspension. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's a lot easier, it's a lot quicker, and I think according to the internet, there's no one else doing it that way, so that's just how I do it. Anyway, I guess it's time to throw on some old clothes, grab some popcorn and a beverage, grab a chair, have a seat if you want to watch. Those of you who want to help me out, throw on your old clothes, bring your tools. We'll get you right in here, we'll do it together. Because you got this, and this is a treat to have. It really is. This is a fun job. Hey, I'm glad you're back. What we're going to do here, we're going to save this by getting rid of that speed wobble at 60 miles an hour, 55, 60, due to the Armstrong damper. It's part of the suspension system. That Armstrong damper is leaked some of its oil out, so it's not damping the impacts properly. It's not equally the same as the other side, so we're going to take this tire off and check it out. 4 lug nuts, that's it, just 4. So we'll jack this up, put jack stands under it to make sure we're good and safe. We'll get this tire off and I'll get you in there to look at the Armstrong damper. And it's not a cylinder, it's not a piston type shock. It is, it has a low profile. It allows a very good suspension system, but allows the whole vehicle to hug the road, stay close and low to the road. So the center of gravity is very low, which helps with cornering and really helps for the vehicle to hug the road. So it's really good. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get in here. I'm glad you're with me. It's nice to have someone come along with me. And let's get busy here. Let's get dirty. Jacking it up from the front, there's a cross member bar that goes right across in between the tires here. That's really solid. That's a good place to jack it up in the front. You gotta be careful with these old cars because you know, you don't know how much rust, internal rust inside the frame is weakening that frame. So it's always this car is in pretty good shape for rust, but you never know. So you don't want to wreck it by jacking in the wrong place. This cross member is a good place to jack it up with in the front. And then we'll put a jack stand just behind the wheel on the frame. Looks nice and solid there. That should hold it. And remember, you got this. You do. Going up. That should do it. You want to see how I jacked it up, don't you? Let's get you in there. I'll get you under there and take a look. Okay, going underneath the front driver's side tire here. Can you see that? Does that come through on the camera? You can see that big chunk. That cross member is a big chunk of steel there. It's can handle the weight of the car. The car's not that heavy. Right in here, good time to point out a few things. There's the coil spring, and up in there, see that arm going down? Can you see that? I guess you can't. That arm going down there, that is the Armstrong damper. Right? Anyway, we use jack stands, and I'll show you where I position those. Oh. Just so you know. Right. Right there. Can you see that? That's on that frame that goes, runs all the way down there. It's in pretty good shape. It is a big hunk of metal. And it fits that quite nicely, so. So I got it all jacked up. Jacked up quite high to get the jack stand under it because it's a low vehicle. And then I lowered it down on the jack stand. The jack stand's holding a lot of weight. And then I put a pump up a little bit on the jack. So that takes a little bit of the weight. Jack stand's taking most of the weight. That's also there to take some weight as a precaution. I also chalked the back wheels. I put the emergency brake on, or parking brake, whatever you want to call it, and pretty confident it's safe, but at this point I like to take it to a test, and this test is called "Is this going to kill me?" test, and so I try to push it and see how stable it is on the jacks. If it's not stable, I'd rather it fall now instead of when I'm under it, pulling and yanking on bolts that are 50 years old and are seized. So let's give it a test. Man, I can't even budge that. That is stable. We're good to go. So, if you're smart, you will have broken free the lug nuts before you jacked it up. Because as you try to do it here, the tire spins and you can't get any leverage on it. You guys all know this, but you know, I don't like hiding my mistakes, so here I am, made this mistake. So if you do get to this point, instead of taking it back down, jacking it up, you can use a chalk or jam something in here like that, and sometimes that'll work. We'll see. That's the beauty of live TV, I guess, folks, or live streaming, or just reality versus theoretical. Jam that thing in there. And break these nuts loose. Hopefully they're not on too tight. That one I was able to loosen up, but the other one I couldn't. And I'm doing that with the breaker bar. I love that. Love that term. Breaker bar. So we loosen those up, and we should be able to switch to your standard 3/8 socket, ratcheting socket, and take these lug nuts off. Just like that. You want to get in a little closer? Let's get you in. You're a long ways away. Let's get you in close to the action here. Check this out. Looks like I'm falling behind in my dusting. Nice. Okay, with the tire out of the way, you can see the Armstrong damper right here. This mechanism here has a couple of pistons in behind. It's filled with fluid, and here's the arms. The damper arms come out here that attach to the tire, to the right. There's a spring underneath, so that tire can go up. But this dampens any sudden impacts on that tire. When there's no fluid in it, it goes up. It just goes up down easily. If there's nothing in it, it just goes like that. It does not dampen the impact. But because it has two cylinders in there, the fluid pressure, it's really hard. Like, you can move it, if I took it off and I just grabbed those arms and I went like, if it was filled with fluid, I could move them, but not suddenly. I could not move it like a hydraulic pressure, like a hydraulic cylinder, right? You can press it in, it'll move slowly, but it will not move suddenly. So it dampens any impacts due to potholes and that sort of stuff. So this one's not doing a good job because the fluid is low in it. But the great thing about these cars is, you know, today you just buy a new damper. You just order a new damper, new shock or whatever. And today's very much replace parts. That's how the vehicles, they have whole parts. You just replace units. You take bolts off, you put bolts on. But back when this was built, it's more about service and maintenance. And you can tell just by reading the manual. They tell you how to service it. You know, they want you to, it's made for the guy that likes to tinker with them, likes to, you know, top up the oils, check on this and that. And so this damper has an actual fill plug. So right there, if you screw that off, you can fill it up with oil. And so, you know, so there is a little bit of leaking that may go on over the years through the seals, but it's very slow. And since you know, I only drive this in the summer, and you know what? Mostly it's only driven in the summer. It's ever been driven in the summer, so it takes all summer for it to get low on that fluid. So rather than replacing that part, I'm just going to refill it every winter. Top it up, just like anything else, just like everything else. So, and it gives me a good time to get in here, take a look, see what's going on, see if there's any rust issues, anything else. I mean, it's very cool system if you ask me. I really like it. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get in there, let's get some oil, let's get messy. I'm going to get you in a little closer. So there it is. Can you see that right there? That's the fill plug. Right, here's the arms that come down, and the spring is underneath. I'm going to get you around to the side view so you can see the spring. So coming at you at the front here, we're going underneath the Sabrina bumper, and there is the wheel, the hub. This here thing that you may not recognize, that's my light, that. And there is the spring. And I got the jack set up here so that I can imitate a bump, going over a bump in slow motion. If you look at the arms, which are the damper arms, it's hard to point everything out here, right there. That's the arm that goes up that way, right there, down to there. You'll see them come off these rubber pieces where it's bottoming out. This is so this will imitate a bump in slow motion. So I'm cranking up on the jack. Can you see it coming off the rubber pads there? See that? See? The spring will push it back down, but the damper functions so that it doesn't come up too fast. So you're not bouncing around like driving out in the Atlantic, like you're getting seasick because it's bouncing all around. It's a very stable system. So there you go. You don't see that every day. Cool, hey? I love it. So if you did want to take this Armstrong damper off and replace it, if you had to order another one because it was leaking too fast or whatever, you can take it off. I should show you how you can do that. You got to take this cotter pin off right here, unscrew that, pull that assembly out to detach it from the tire, and then there's 4 screws right here. 1, 2, and there's 2 in the back. That removes this whole unit from the vehicle. But mine is so encased in undercoating, like, looks like a good job. I can't even see the screws, they're under that. There's a lot of crud there, but it's what I call oil-based crud that keeps the water from getting in there. So in this case, crud is good. So I'm not going to take it off. I'm going to take that off. Much easier. And I'm going to fill it. But you need a specialized tool for this. So just downsize everything. I just happened to acquire one, so I'll show it to you. Yeah, you may have to get yourself one of these. Okay, you want your 14mm socket, and we're going to take off that filler plug right there. Now it's a horizontal, it comes out this way, so how do you ever get oil in there? You can't pour it in, and that's why everyone takes this off, takes it to the bench, flips it up, fills it up with oil, cleans it out, does all that stuff. But this is faster. I think my way's a little better, but you be the judge. 14 mils. Get this off. That light never stays in the right spot. So because there's oil in this plug is not seized, so that's great. This is an old vehicle, which means there's not a nut on here that doesn't fight you. Fight you to the death sometimes. There it is. That's an immaculate shape, original. Look at it. Beautiful. Look at that. Looks brand new. I gotta get you in a little closer than that. Right there. Looks brand new, doesn't it? 14mm. I'm using fork oil, high performance fork oil, 20W weight. It has a piston just like that, two little pistons that counter each other, going one way, going the other. So it's cool little system. But we've got to get it in there, and it's hard to do, very hard to do, unless you, without taking that off, putting it on your desk, clamping it down, filling her up. But that's a lot of work. There's an easier way, but it involves a specialized tool. Now at the back of the manual, there's all kinds of tools, specialized tools that go with these vehicles that you can purchase. From Britain, have it sent over. Pricey. What we could do is use, I'll show you what I use. I acquired this tool here. So here is the one specialized tool that you're going to need for this, because to get that oil in there through a horizontal, you're going to have some tool to inject that oil directly into the cylinder. So you may want to make it easy for you, just purchase or acquire one of these. Comes in a nice little case. It's my wife's turkey baster. This is what I'm going to use. She doesn't know I have it, so keep it quiet. You got to use a turkey baster. Put a little line on there to get it right into that hole. Little fuel line on a turkey baster, and inject the fluid directly into the cylinders, like that. Where do you acquire this? Your wife's kitchen, but you have to replace it with a new one. Don't give her this one back. Get her a new one and get it back in there before she knows it's gone. And if you fail at that mission, just take her for a drive in the MG. She'll forgive you. Hopefully. So grab your wife's turkey baster. Looks like that. case you haven't baked a turkey, put a little line on it. That fits exactly inside the hole, works great. Now pop the top off it. See that? It's actually, this one's actually, has some graduations here, like is it 20 millimeters, 30 millimeters? Yeah, it's all graduated. So get a funnel. And like I said, can't let her die DIY. We're old school here. Everybody else going to high tech. We're going low tech. Low. How low can you go? And there's always a point in every video where it gets messy. I think this is going to be it for this video. So we got a towel here or a rag and just kind of get her in there. Try to contain the mess as best you can, because the more you contain, the less you have to clean up. You know, clean up. Cleaning is always the worst part of every job. So, you know. So here we go. Don't pour in too much. Put the top on. Get it right in there. And inject it. You see that? Let's get you in close. That's it. She's coming back out now. Yep, there, see that? Now I'm going to pump the jack a little bit, work that damper a little bit, and see if I can get more oil in it. I lowered the jack a little bit. Now let's pull the plug out and see if I can squeeze a little more of this fork oil in there, just to top her off. Or maybe it all comes pouring out here as soon as I pull the plug out. Maybe it's an opportunity to squeeze a little more in. Most of it's coming right back in. I think I hit it. And save your fork oil for next year. Same time, same place, we'll do the same thing. Works pretty good, eh? I think we got her full of oil. We'll tighten up this 14 millimeter filler plug. Just snug it up, nothing too crazy. And this oil's good for it. Undercoating. Did make a little mess here, but hey, that's kind of cool. So it was able to take between 4 and 5 turkey basters. So that's a new unit of measure here in Canada on Can't Let Her Die DIY turkey basters. But turkey basters equal to about 30 milliliters. So 4 to 5 is 120 to 150 milliliters. So that's what it takes, folks, between 120 and 150 milliliters, but I guess it depends on yours. That's how dry mine was. Now the other side, it's not dry at all. It doesn't go through any. So there would be a little leak around the seals. I don't really see it. I'll watch it for a few days. Maybe only when it's pumping back and forth and working. But anyway, let's see if this works. We'll put the tire back on, put the lug nuts back on. They're 21 millimeter, by the way, because I didn't tell you. And I'll put this baby back together, and then let's see if it works. Maybe this will. Four lug nuts. How old is that? They're beefy though. So now we'll tighten up the lug nuts and we'll just snug them up, and then then when we put the take the jack down, take the jack stands down and lower the car, put it on the ground, then we'll tighten it up to spec. It's just going to twist. If you try to do it here, it's going to revolve. So like I was saying, driving this vehicle, it's a lot of fun, and you do draw some looks. Eh? Just pulling her in here, just pulling her into the garage. My neighbors, a couple of them, give me the doe eyes. Give me doe eye looks. And gently lower down. Here's the side that was working well. One bump. You do it a few times and you can tell the oil's getting into the right places. It's starting to stiffen up. That's good. That's good. It's got a little bit. Much better, much. And that's how you put the oil back into the Armstrong damper, part of the suspension system. This is an MGB Roadster Mark IV, 1977. Nice little car, great, convertible. And yeah, I just wanted to dedicate this to my father. He recently passed away, but he didn't pass away before he had a chance to drive in this car. We had a good time. And it was just his birthday the other day, so this goes out to you, Dad. And I can tell because the way things work out in the shop here, I think someone's looking out for me. I got connections upstairs, so keep it up, Dad and Mom. Cheers. So the manual calls for the wheel nuts to be tightened to 60 to 65. I set it for 63, right in the middle. It's not very tight though, is it? So I'm tightening them to spec. Oh, there it is. That's that beautiful sound. And do it in this sort of pattern. There it is.
Hon, you see my turkey baster? I can't seem to find it anywhere.
Was there last time when I was cooking? Last time I cooked.
Really? Oh, geez, I can't find it anywhere. Oh, no.
Wrap this up. Where do you buy turkey baster anyway? In the middle of COVID-19 lockdown. I gotta go talk to my neighbors. Maybe I'll phone them. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta run. Like and subscribe. Help me out. Hope you had fun. I sure did. You got this. Come on, shop boss.